You've been lied to about success. It's not about waking up at 5 a.m. It's not about grinding until you collapse. And it's definitely not about being the loudest in the room. Most advice is noise, recycled, shallow, built to sell you a feeling, not results. The truth is harder, but also simpler. Let's reset what success actually means and show you what really works. Part 1. Discipline over motivation. Most people wait to feel ready. They chase motivation like it's fuel, a spark that will carry them through. But motivation is fleeting. It's emotional weather, and weather changes. Modern psychology calls it the intention-action gap. You intend to do something, go to the gym, write that plan, make that call, but you wait. You tell yourself, I'm not in the right headspace. You stall, hoping for a better mood, and days turn to weeks. The Stoics had a word for this, akrasia, knowing what you should do and still not doing it. Even in ancient times, they understood the mind's resistance. That real power is found not in feeling like doing the work, but doing it anyway. Discipline is the antidote. Science backs this up. Studies on implementation intentions, small, structured plans, show that people who commit to action regardless of feeling are far more likely to follow through. It's not about force. It's about clarity. A decision made in advance. A time. A place. A promise. Motivation whispers. Discipline acts. And the irony. The moment you stop waiting to feel ready, you begin to build the very confidence and energy you were hoping for. Neuroscience shows that action changes emotion, not the other way around. Your brain releases dopamine, not just when you succeed, but when you begin. Movement creates momentum. Discipline is not punishment. It's self-respect. It's saying, I am the kind of person who shows up, even when I don't feel like it. Especially then, because that's when it matters most. That's when everyone else quits. You want success? Stop chasing moods. Start honoring your commitments, especially the quiet ones you made with yourself. That's the foundation. That's the shift. Discipline over motivation, always. Part 2. Focus is a superpower. The world is loud. Everyone is trying to get your attention, and if you give it away freely, you'll spend your life reacting, not creating. Modern success doesn't belong to the smartest. It belongs to the most focused. Not the person who knows the most, but the one who can sit with one thing, longer than the rest. Focus is rare, and that's what makes it powerful. We live in the age of hyperstimulation, notifications, quick dopamine hits, instant distraction. Your brain is being trained to jump from one thing to the next, to feel uncomfortable in stillness, to crave noise. But all deep work, all real achievement happens in the silence. It happens when you resist the urge to check, when you stay with the discomfort, when you let the mind stretch instead of escape. Philosopher Blaise Pascal once said, all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. He wasn't wrong. The modern mind is scattered, and scattered minds build scattered lives. But there's good news. Focus is trainable. Neuroscience shows that attention is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. The more you resist distraction, the easier it becomes. It's not about having perfect conditions. It's about building inner structure, choosing depth over noise, choosing presence over stimulation. Success, in the end, is not a matter of time. It's a matter of attention. Where your attention goes, your life follows. So if you want to change your life, start here. Protect your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. No one can give it to you. No one will protect it for you. You have to reclaim it, moment by moment. Cut the noise, build the system. And remember, you don't need more time. You need fewer distractions. Focus is your leverage. Part 3. Most people are just performing. We live in the age of performance. People don't chase success. They chase the appearance of it. They don't want to do the work. They want to be seen doing the work. Social media made it worse. Now, even self-discipline is something to brand. Even silence must be turned into a quote. But the truth, real success is often invisible. It doesn't need an audience. It grows in the quiet, lonely places, behind the scenes, without applause. Psychologists call it extrinsic validation, the hunger to be seen, liked, praised. And while it's a normal human drive, it can become a trap. Because when your worth depends on reaction, you'll shape yourself to be liked, not to be true. You'll build a life that looks good, but feels empty. You'll confuse attention with achievement. Philosophy warned us about this. The Stoics called it a kind of slavery, chasing approval from people who don't even know themselves. Nietzsche said, "Become who you are." But you can't do that if you're always looking outward. Here's the harsh truth. You can't be both deeply focused and constantly visible. You can't master your craft while performing for the crowd. If you want real success, you have to let go of the need to be seen. You have to stop auditioning. You have to learn to sit with the quiet truth of your own effort. Most people are performing, but the ones who rise above, they're building, not broadcasting. And it shows, not in likes, not in noise, but in clarity, in depth, in the power of their results. So ask yourself, are you building something real? Or are you just playing a role? Because the world doesn't need more performers. It needs people who are real when no one's watching. If this is resonating with you, drop a comment below. Let me know. Are you building in silence or just performing for the noise? I want to hear from the builders. Part 4. Motivation is overrated. Discipline is not. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes with your mood, the weather, your sleep, your hormones. It's the spark, but never the fuel. Yet most people wait for it, like it's the key to everything. They scroll through motivational quotes, watch YouTube videos, and hope that one phrase will finally unlock their ambition. But it never lasts. What truly separates the ones who succeed isn't motivation, it's discipline. It's the ability to act when you don't feel like it, to keep going when your mind is tired, your emotions are flat, and no one is watching. Discipline is the quiet decision to show up again and again, not because it's easy, but because it matters. Modern psychology supports this. Studies in behavioral science show that successful people aren't constantly inspired. They're structured. They rely on habits, systems, and boundaries. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, calls it environmental design, the idea that we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. In other words, discipline isn't about being superhuman. It's about being prepared. Philosophers have echoed this for centuries. Aristotle believed that virtue comes from repetition, not from passion. It's not what you feel, but what you practice. Discipline, then, becomes a form of self-respect. It's the refusal to betray your future self for a short-term feeling. This is where most people go wrong. They think if they're not feeling it, they're doing it wrong. But that's backwards. The feeling often comes after the action, not before. Progress isn't born from passion, it's born from persistence. From the thousands of small, dull, unsexy choices you make each day. So if you're waiting to feel ready, stop. You won't. Success isn't about doing the big thing once. It's about doing the basic thing consistently. Discipline is boring, but it's what builds momentum. And momentum, not motivation, is what carries you forward when everything else fades. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is a fire. Build the fire. Part 5. You need less, not more. Success today is often confused with accumulation. More goals, more tasks, more hacks, more noise. We're told to optimize every minute, master 10 skills at once, read faster, hustle harder. But the truth is, success is subtraction. The highest performers, in any field, aren't the ones chasing everything. They're the ones who've learned to cut. They say no ruthlessly. They eliminate distractions, simplify their routines, and focus on what actually moves the needle. It's not about doing more, it's about doing less, but doing it with full intensity. This idea isn't new. Ancient philosophers lived by it. The The Stoics, Buddhists, even the early Christian mystics all believed that clarity comes from stripping away the unnecessary, not just in material life, but in thought, in ambition, in identity. Simplicity isn't minimalism for aesthetics, it's clarity for action. Modern neuroscience confirms this. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for planning and focus, becomes overloaded when juggling too many tasks. The more you try to hold in your mind, the less effective you become. Psychologists call this decision fatigue, the cognitive wear and tear that builds up from constant micro-choices. And in the age of information overload, it's death by 1,000 cuts. But when you narrow your focus, when you decide what actually matters, your energy stops leaking, your thoughts sharpen, your actions become deliberate. You stop chasing momentum and start creating it. So ask yourself, what can you remove? What are you doing out of habit, obligation, or fear of missing out? What would happen if you dropped the 80% that isn't creating real results? Because the path to mastery isn't paved with more, it's paved with less. Less distraction, less ego, less busy work. Not because life is about doing nothing, but because the most powerful things happen when your attention is no longer scattered. You don't need more. You need less, with focus. Because when you focus your energy like a laser, it cuts through everything. Part 6. The quiet power of identity. Behind every action you take is a story you believe. Most people try to change their behavior without ever questioning who they think they are. They set goals, build habits, chase productivity, but it never sticks. Why? Because they're fighting against their identity. You can't outperform your self-image for long. If deep down you believe you're inconsistent, lazy, not that type of person, your brain will find a way to prove it true. You'll sabotage, you'll delay, you'll drift back into familiar patterns, not because you're broken, but because the subconscious craves consistency. This is where real change begins, not with what you do, but with who you become. Psychologists call this identity-based behavior. It's not about forcing discipline from the outside. It's about upgrading the lens through which you see yourself. Because once you believe you're the kind of person who does hard things, it becomes easier to do them. You're not chasing motivation. You're embodying a role. Ancient philosophy understood this too. The Stoics practiced premeditatio, imagining themselves not just as who they were, but who they needed to become. The Buddhists spoke of the illusion of self, not to deny identity, but to remind us that it's malleable. Your story isn't fixed. It's shaped by repetition, by action, by belief. And neuroscience backs it. The brain is plastic. Identity isn't set in stone. It's a pattern of thoughts reinforced over time. That means you can change it. Slowly, deliberately, by choosing new inputs, new actions, new language. Every time you show up when it's hard, every time you keep your word to yourself, you reinforce a new identity. You're casting votes for the future you, not through grand gestures, but through quiet consistency. So if you want to succeed, stop asking, what do I want to do? Start asking, who do I need to become? And then, act like it's already true. Because success doesn't just belong to the most talented. It belongs to those who decide who they are, and then live in alignment with it. Final thoughts. The real game. Success isn't a secret, it's a system. And most people are playing it blind. They chase hacks, they cling to motivation, they wait for permission. And when it doesn't work, they blame themselves. But the truth is, they were given the wrong map. Success isn't about being smarter or luckier than everyone else. It's about understanding the game behind the game, the invisible mechanics that shape your behavior, your decisions, your life. It's about choosing clarity over comfort, focus over distraction, identity over image. It's not about proving anything to the world. It's about building something unshakable within yourself so that no matter the outcome, you remain grounded, directed, awake. Philosophy reminds us, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Not the other way around. Psychology shows us that emotion drives attention, And identity drives action. If you don't know who you are, the world will decide for you. But if you do, if you claim your values, sharpen your vision, and train your attention, you become dangerous. In the best way. Because now you're not chasing, you're choosing. So here's the truth no one tells you. You don't need more tips. You need to start trusting the quieter truths, the ones beneath the noise. Discipline isn't punishment. Focus isn't boring. And success isn't loud. It's quiet, intentional, deep. Most people want to feel good. But the ones who rise, they want to become good, strong, clear, disciplined. And if you're still watching, you already know which one you are. This journey won't be fast or easy, but it will be worth it. Because when you stop chasing success and start building a foundation for it, you don't just succeed once. You become someone who can do it again and again, not by luck, but by design. If this shifted your thinking, if something finally clicked, subscribe. There's more coming. Not hype, but clarity. Let's build something real.